or it's heading towards the brink of bankruptcy.
Okay, and speaking of issues, I know that the economy is #1 for this month.
Absolutely.
And in your own brochure, you mailed out, excuse the back, I'll cover up the back. It's time that more families had a voice in government again. It's time to stop the spending, lower taxes, and create jobs. We want details. How do you stop the spending? What's first?
Oh, that's a great, great question. Well, what I mean is, what we're doing now, what we see coming from Washington, and what my opponent supports, as Harry Reid has called him his pet, is to spend our way to recovery and then tax our way to prosperity, and that doesn't work. You cannot continue this out-of-control spending. So what I'm proposing to do, what I think the government can do to help real economic growth, is to get out of the way of the entrepreneur, get out of the way of the small business owner, and let them do what they do best, create jobs. I mentioned all the mom and pop stores that I would see on Main Street. They are the innovators. Those folks, those small business owners, are the ones who can take an idea and with hard work and with commitment to that creativity, turn it into a thriving business. So specifically what I want to do to help mom and pop stores open up their doors again is, number one, make sure that the tax increases that are coming in January do not happen. The senator that we elect on November 2nd will go to Washington this November and vote on those tax increases. My opponent has pledged to vote for them. I have pledged to not only vote against them, try to work with my future colleagues to make sure that they don't increase. I've heard some reports that these tax increases that we're going to face in January are going to impact just about every Delawarean, from whether it's $1,100 all the way up to tens of thousands of dollars, just by letting these tax cuts expire. And then you hear some people say, well, I'm opposed to, I only want them on the so-called rich. But if you look at the details, the devil is in the details. The so-called rich are that dry cleaner down the street who makes $300,000 before he pays 4 employees. That's the so-called rich. That's going to kill jobs. So we need to do things that empower the small business owner, empower people, and reward their hard work, not punish it. So number one, stop the tax increases. Number two, I'm proposing a 2-year temporary tax holiday on the capital gains tax. The reason for that, again, I keep mentioning the small business owner because I think that's the backbone of our economy, and that is the epitome of the American dream. If we have a 2-year temporary tax holiday on the capital gains tax, folks have the capital that they need to reinvest in businesses. When you reinvest in business through the private sector, they grow. When they grow, they have to hire people. That's job growth based on private businesses, not government spending, i.e. your tax dollars. So that's one of the things, several things, and I could go on. Another thing that I'm proposing is to permanently eliminate the death tax. One of the reasons is there's a lot of nonpartisan economic reports out there showing that economically this is the wise thing to do. But also it's unjust. You paid taxes while you earned it. You paid taxes while you saved it. To get our country back on track, we need people who are responsible, who are thinking the long term, who are planning for the next generation. And when you leave an estate for your family, that's what you're doing. So we're going to punish you for having a responsible behavior that we need to get our country back on track. The death tax doesn't make sense, and we need to eliminate it once and for all.
All right.
I'm going to throw out some one words or a phrase, and you just give us a response, whatever's on the top of your head. Healthcare reform bill.
We definitely have to repeal the healthcare reform bill. Why? Now, I think everyone recognizes that we need to reform the healthcare system. But I think somewhere along the way we've confused coverage with care. We have to start making health care, quality health care, affordable for everyone. This health care bill gives the government the power, too much power, and yet it still leaves are most vulnerable without access to quality health care. So it doesn't do the job. It puts Uncle Sam in the examination room coming between you and your doctor. Now, I've heard a lot of people say it's unrealistic to repeal the health care bill. That's not true, and this is why I think it's realistic. Why we have to fight, why we have to be committed to doing what is possible. Number one, the majority of Americans don't want it. You have a lot of Democrats. This isn't just a Republican soundbite to repeal Obamacare. I think most common sense Delawareans recognize that this bill is unsustainable and gives the government way too much power without actually doing anything. So the majority of the people don't want it. If both the House and the Senate pass legislation to repeal the health care bill, and then Barack Obama thumbs his nose to the will of the people and vetoes that bill right before his re-election, I've already seen some Hillary Clinton ads. I don't know about you, but I have. So, I mean, there's a lot of Democrats who don't want this. And if he has the audacity to ignore a very clear message from the people, he's making his re-election very uncertain.
Cap and tree.